So I've had a lot of people reach out, just trying to understand how something like this could happen in Asheville with the flooding and the devastation that we're seeing. And as I've shared more photos of some of these remote areas, and people have seen more photos, people that have never been to Asheville, that have never been in the mountains, they don't have a full grasp on how something like this could happen. Look, I'm the last qualified person to be able to try to explain any of this, but I figured I've got a camera, I've got an iPad, and I kind of know how to use them. So I'm going to do my best effort to try and help somebody that's never been to any of these areas just understand maybe how this is a little bit different than a lot of other situations that have transpired in other areas of the country due to flooding or a hurricane hitting or something of that magnitude. So let's hop into the iPad. This is Asheville, essentially, right? So just to give you guys a point of reference. So to the east of Asheville is Black Mountain. We're going to use this as an example. You could take this and apply it to pretty much anywhere in Western North Carolina or East Tennessee that got hit. The same logic applies to the whole thing. So what we have here in the center is the Norfolk Water Reservoir. This lake essentially distributes the water to all of Asheville area. It's surrounded by Pisgah National Forest and Mount Mitchell. So now let's pop into a topographical map. So what you're seeing here is the topographical map of the area that we just saw. So the circled area in red right there, that's the Norfolk Water Reservoir I was just talking about. What you have here is Mount Mitchell. The elevation of Mount Mitchell it's a little over 6,600 feet. It's 6,684. So just to give you a point of reference, right here is 6,684. Where the Norfolk Water Reservoir lives, in just north of Black Mountain, this elevation is roughly 4266. The reason that reservoir was placed where it is because it's in the perfect location to supply the city of Asheville and surrounding areas with all the water runoff from these mountains. So you essentially have 2,400 feet of elevation change for all the water that happens, all the rain that happens in this mountain range to be able to flow down and to fill these valleys. You see another reservoir over here, that's Beetree. So then when you've got a storm happening like we had, where you've got 30 inches of rain hitting in some areas, you've got 30 inches of rain flowing down into this reservoir that can't handle it. What happens, obviously, when you put that much water in a space that can't hold it, it overflows. Now, a lot of you have probably seen the devastating photos of Chimney Rock and Lake Lure. The elevation down here in Lake Lure is 1,119 feet. So we've got 3,100 feet elevation change from the Norfolk Reservoir down to Lake Lure. So what we ran into when that water started overflowing was the water went in two different directions. You had to go towards Asheville, and then it went down Highway 9, which is a lot of the most devastated, destructed areas in the Buncombe County, Rutherford County, like local McDowell County areas. So that water started going down these valleys where all these small remote communities are, and then you've got that coupled with 3,000 feet elevation change and all these mountain ranges here, and it just can't handle it. I know when you think of flooding in a low-lying, beach town area, when a hurricane comes through, the storm surge comes through, the water rises, and then the water recedes. But what you have here is you've got flooding plus the force of gravity. When you look at essentially from the top of Mount Mitchell to Lake Lure, a 5,500 feet elevation change, the amount of momentum that water can gather when it goes from there all the way down to Lake Lure, the power, the force of that, it's why it's wiped out communities. We've got family friends that their entire community got ripped apart, and there's still 18 people missing because all their houses were washed away. And that's just one small neighborhood of a few homes. So when you think of this destruction and you're trying to ask yourself, how in the world could something like this happen? Essentially, this is, in layman's terms, how something like that could happen. I hope it helps. Please, donate. They're going to be digging out of this for months and years to come. The landscape of this area is completely changed forever. All those things that we knew growing up are not going to be there anymore. But I know that it's going to rebuild. It's going to be better than ever, and it's just going to take time. Hope this helped.